The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as High Arbiter Vexton raised his four-fingered hand. His pale blue skin shimmered under the artificial light, and his large black eyes scanned the assembly of alien representatives from 17 different species. They had gathered for one purpose, a purpose that had been brewing for nearly a decade. The vote was finally here. "The matter before us is simple," Vexton announced, his voice echoing through the vast hall. "Humanity has been a member of the Galactic Union for 47 standard cycles. In that time, they have proven themselves to be aggressive, unpredictable, and dangerous. They breed too fast. They consume too many resources. They ask too many questions. They challenge our traditions at every turn." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Representatives nodded their heads, tentacles, and various appendages in approval. "Therefore," the High Arbiter continued, "we shall vote on Resolution 774. The complete removal of humanity from all Galactic Union territories. They will be returned to their home system and forbidden from leaving it. All human technology will be confiscated. All human influence will be erased." Ambassador Sarah Chun stood alone at the small podium reserved for humanity's single representative. She was 63 years old, with gray hair tied back in a practical bun and eyes that had seen too much disappointment from beings who were supposed to be enlightened. She had known this day was coming. Everyone had warned her. The aliens had never truly accepted humans. They tolerated them at best and despised them at worst. The vote happened quickly. 16 species voted in favor of the resolution. Only one abstained, a small insectoid race called the Crix, who had always been neutral in galactic politics. None voted against. Sarah Chun gathered her documents and walked out of the chamber without a word. There was nothing left to say. Humanity had been expelled. Within 6 standard months, every human was removed from galactic space. Their colonies were emptied. Their businesses were shut down. Their research stations were abandoned. Their ships were escorted back to the Sol system and left there, surrounded by a blockade of warships that would ensure no human vessel ever left again. The Galactic Union celebrated. Restaurants and entertainment venues that had once been forced to accommodate human customers now displayed signs that read, "Pure Species Only." Politicians gave speeches about preserving galactic culture. Children were taught that humans had been a mistake, a brief and unfortunate chapter in galactic history that was now closed forever. For the first 3 years, everything seemed fine. The economy continued to function. Trade routes remained open. The galaxy moved forward without its troublesome former members. Then the problems began. It started small. A mining station in the outer reaches reported that their ore processors were failing. The machines had been designed by a joint human-alien engineering team, and the complex calibration systems required constant adjustment. Without the human engineers who had created them, no one could figure out how to fix them. "Just replace the machines," the regional governor ordered. But there were no replacement machines. The design specifications had been developed by humans and taken with them when they left. Building new processors from scratch would take years. Similar reports came in from across the galaxy. Power plants that humans had helped design began to malfunction. Medical equipment that incorporated human innovations stopped working properly. Communication networks that relied on human-developed protocols experienced increasing errors. High Arbiter Vex then dismissed these concerns initially. "We survived for millennia before the humans arrived," he reminded the Council. "We will adapt." But adaptation proved more difficult than expected. The Valorian species, proud merchants who controlled much of the galaxy's trade, discovered that their entire shipping logistics system was built on software the humans had created. When the software began to fail, they had no way to fix it. Their own programmers studied the code for months and could not understand its structure. Human minds worked differently than theirs. Human solutions approached problems from angles that no other species could replicate. Trade began to slow. Shipments were delayed. prices rose. For the first time in centuries, shortages appeared on wealthy worlds that had never known want. The medical crisis came next. Humans had contributed enormously to galactic medicine during their brief membership in the Union. Their creativity and willingness to experiment have produced treatments for diseases that have plagued other species for generations. Now, without human researchers to continue the work, progress stopped. Worse, some treatments required ongoing human input that was no longer available. On the water world of Thesan Prime, millions of aquatic beings began dying from a plague that human scientists had been working to cure. The research was incomplete. The human team had been expelled before they could finish. Thesan doctors tried desperately to continue their work, but they lacked the intuitive leaps that human minds made so easily. Ambassador Chun received news of the deaths in her small apartment on Earth. She wept for the Thesan people, beings she had never met but who were dying because of hatred and fear. She wrote a message to the Galactic Council offering human assistance, but the message was blocked by the communications blackout. 5 years after the expulsion, the Galactic Union was in crisis. The economy had contracted by 40%. 17 colony worlds had been abandoned due to failing infrastructure. 3 species were facing extinction-level threats from diseases that had once been treatable. High Arbiter Vexthan was removed from his position in disgrace. The new leadership was forced to confront an uncomfortable truth. Humans had not been parasites feeding off galactic civilization. They had been contributors, innovators, and problem-solvers whose value had been invisible until it was gone. We made a mistake, the new High Arbiter, an elderly female Crix named Chiton of Silver, admitted to the council. We saw what was different about humans and called it dangerous. We did not see what was valuable about them and understand its importance. The vote to invite humanity back was unanimous. Ambassador Chun was the first to receive the invitation. She read it carefully, then set it aside. She called a meeting of the Human Leadership Council, now based in a modest building in Geneva. They want us back, she told them. Their exact words are that they recognize the valuable contributions of human civilization and wish to restore full membership in the Galactic Union. The council members exchanged glances. Some were angry. Others were skeptical. A few were simply tired. After everything they did to us? General Marcus Webb asked. He had commanded the evacuation fleet, had watched human families forced from homes they had built with their own hands. The memory still burned in him. They watched us leave, Dr. Yuki Tanaka added. She had been part of the team working on the Thesan plague cure. Leaving that work unfinished had haunted her for years. They celebrated when we were gone. Now they want us to save them? Ambassador Chun nodded slowly. Yes, that is exactly what they want. The room fell silent. Finally, an elderly man spoke. His name was Robert Chun, Sarah's father and the previous human ambassador. He had been the one to negotiate humanity's original entry into the Galactic Union almost 50 years ago. When we first made contact with alien life, he said, his voice weak but clear, we hoped for partners. We hoped for friends. Instead, we found beings who looked at us with suspicion and fear. But we persisted. We worked alongside them. We solved their problems. We asked for nothing but the chance to prove ourselves. He paused, gathering his strength. They failed us. They betrayed us. They cast us out like garbage. But what happens now defines who we are, not who they are. If we turn away, if we let them suffer for their mistakes, then we become something less than human. We become like them. Ambassador Chun looked at her father with tears in her eyes. She knew he was right. Revenge would be satisfying. Refusing to help would be justified, but it would also be wrong. We go back, she said, but on our terms. The negotiations took 3 months. Humanity did not simply accept reinstatement. They demanded equal representation on the council. They demanded protection for human communities throughout the galaxy. They demanded that the history of the expulsion be taught truthfully in schools across the Union, so that future generations would understand what had happened and why it was wrong. The Galactic Council agreed to everything. Human ships returned to the galaxy in the 7th year after the expulsion. They brought engineers to repair the failing infrastructure. They brought doctors to treat the dying. They brought scientists to resume the research that had been abandoned. Ambassador Chun stood before the Galactic Council one final time, this time as an equal rather than a supplicant. "You expelled us because you feared us," she said. "You feared our energy, our creativity, our refusal to accept things as they were. You called these traits dangerous. Perhaps they are, but they are also the traits that will save your civilizations now." She paused, looking around the chamber at the alien faces watching her. "We do not return as conquerors. We do not return seeking revenge. We return because helping others is what humans do, even those who have hurt us. We return because the galaxy is better when we work together than when we work apart." In the years that followed, humanity became the heart of a new galactic union, one built on cooperation rather than hierarchy, on acceptance rather than fear. The other species learned that humans were not dangerous because they were different. They were valuable because they were different. And the humans learned that forgiveness was not weakness. It was strength. It was the strength to build something better than what had existed before. High Arbiter Chiton of Silver, in her final address before retirement, summarized the lesson that the galaxy had learned. "We wanted them gone," she said. "We were certain that we would be better without them. We were wrong. The humans are not just another species among many. They are the spark that lights the fire. They are the question that demands an answer. They are the hand that reaches out when all hope seems lost. We cannot survive without them, not because we are weak, but because they make us stronger than we could ever be alone." The blockade around Earth was dismantled. The signs that had once said, "pure species only," were taken down and burned. And humanity, the species that had been expelled and rejected and abandoned, took its place at the center of galactic civilization, not through conquest or domination, but through the simple act of being exactly what they had always been: human.